Kate Benson, the wonderful Kate Benson. Your name is associated to education
and NLP. Yeah, I mean Kate Benson, NLP education.
Yeah, Meta-NLP.
Yeah.
Hello, lovely ladies. How are you this morning?
We're lovely, aren't we? We've got over the snow.
We're feeling good. Yeah.
We're glad. We're so happy to be chatting to you this morning. It's a real honour, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely.
Happy to
It's
hear
lovely
all
to speak
about
to you too, ladies, and I'm glad you've survived the horrible weather. Finally.
Yeah, that's all in the past now,
It's
isn't
all
it?
in the past, and we used a lot of NLP to get over it as well.
We did. Yeah, we had to, because we were stuck in the house with no electricity, no water.
Yeah, we did a lot of changing states. Yes, a lot of positive anchors.
We did. We really did. Yeah.
Could have just gone sledging.
We did that. We had snowball fights, sledging.
Yeah, we did a lot of that. The thing is, when you came back in the house, it was freezing in the house. So it was a bit difficult.
Spring is on the way now.
Spring thoughts for all.
Spring thoughts for all. That's a nice thought. Yeah. That's wonderful.
So you've just come back from a lovely training, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Yes, we've had a very busy time, actually. Since Christmas, we've done the Teaching Excellence Programme, which is our special programme for master practitioners and above. So that takes the skills of master practitioners and applies them very directly to teaching, learning. So a lot of teachers come on it, but actually increasingly parents are coming, trainers are coming, people with all sorts of, we had a lady from whose expertise was in working with teenagers. She wanted some extra. She found that most of the things that teenagers had problems with were about learning something. So, she came. And we had a very international mix this year. Brazil, from the Netherlands, from Sweden, from Australia. Somebody flew all the way around the world. So it's very honoured to have them all there. So we've done that, and we've been to Belfast recently, and we've been in West Suffolk. And next week we're off to Amsterdam again. So we've got a Parents' Day in Amsterdam, and then we've got the Teaching Excellence Programme again for the Dutch Institutes, which is in 2 weeks. So busy. Always.
Well, that's what we all like to hear, isn't it?
Yeah.
Moving forwards, and it's all good when you're busy, isn't it? Especially in this this day and age.
Well, yeah, and it's lovely that so many people are actually interested in this, because it will change the world eventually.
Yes, it will.
Change the world.
That's my mission, girls.
You're well on your way. I mean, you did that Durham project, didn't you, where you went into 4 schools?
Yes, we did. And it's really interesting, actually, looking at the development over the last few years. Because I was a teacher before I was an NLPer. And so I went in with the mindset of, originally I went in really thinking it was going to help me with my one-to-one work, because I was also working as a counsellor and running a student services department in a college. And I thought, I went for that, the therapeutic bit. And as I was sort of sitting there, I thought, there's something in this, how does this fit? And there were 2 books, only 2 books as far as I could see in the world that had anything to do with NLP and learning. And so I sort of set off to figure out how NLP and learning could help learning. And the people used to say to me, "Gosh, what's your expertise? What's your area of, where do you apply NLP?" And I say, in teaching and learning. And honestly, they would say, "What for? Why do you want to?" So in 15 years, what's wonderful now is people are going, "Oh, that's cool. Well, yes, I can see the relevance of that." Now, I don't know how much I've contributed to that. I think there's a lot of other people contributing to it as well. But things have changed, that now people are going, "I want to do that." So I think we have moved. And, it's been like pushing at a door, it's closed. And then suddenly, in the last few years, it's sort of gone like, "Oh, it's open now."
Yeah, I think you've got your little foot in the door in the early years.
You got
like
your
when
foot
you
in.
did, when you did the Durham project and then now it really is just really opening up and becoming, sort of more mainstream. You'll probably find that you'll be featured in a lot of magazines, be on television soon.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Years ago, girl.
Well, this has to come
It
about.
has to be,
It
because
must
the children
be.
are our future, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like that's what they really are, our future. And the more we learn how to teach them in an appropriate way, the better the world will become.
That's right. And I think, when we did although we published the Durham project, which is in 2006 now,
That's
so
very
it's
interesting,
quite a while ago, but each year since then, every time we've gone and done a project, a big training somewhere in a school or a college or whatever, or as a national event or international event, all the students are charged with doing a project. They have to go away and apply what they've learned in some way and report back. And that has two benefits. One, it gets them really working. It's, I think, one of the hardest things when you learn. I think most people will agree, when you first do NLP, that first practitioner course, and you're immersed in all this fantastic new learning, and you're practicing with people who are also immersed in the learning and enjoying it, and then you go home, and it's like, can I use that Milton pattern? And will people think I've gone crazy? So actually getting going with it is the hardest thing. And is quite a challenge for people. So this pushes them to start implementing the changes that they want to make. But also it is giving us a wealth of research. Yeah, so we're getting, we're getting, somebody goes off, they do something very specifically. It's based on that action research 5-point model. So they go and they say, what they want to do specifically, what the context is, what the issue is, what they hope to achieve, what they did very specifically, and what the results were and the feedback. And really, it's the only model we can use in education for research, because we can't use nil-point research, we can't use double-blind studies because it's unethical to do this. You can't say, I'm going to use this really brilliant technique with this group of students, but deprive this group of them. That's not ethical. So we have to measure where they are before we start, and then measure where they are after we've made the intervention. And, it's good. It's not just good for the kids. And it's not because it's philanthropic and a nice thing to do. This is socially and economically essential.
Well, absolutely. Imagine if everyone was a little NLP, if they grew up with NLP, like our children, they're growing up with it. Yeah. They're just completely different. Their attitude, they're just such go-getters. They're empathetic. They understand people's emotional needs. They know how to create rapport. It's just fantastic. It's amazing. Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. And so it's all very exciting. We've been to Turkey. We trained 120 teachers in 4 days in Turkey.
Oh, amazing.
It's all sorts of things happening.
And so what kind of feedback do you get of the teachers? What kind of feedback? I bet you they come back elated, do they, when they notice a change in their students, in their pupils?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think it gets easier. When we first started, I'll let you into a secret, really. Teachers are one of the most difficult groups of people to teach. Yes. They tend to be
we kind of knew that.
Not great at learning. And I think there's a good reason for this. I think they are constantly exposed every day of their lives to students who are struggling. Yeah. So they equate learning with struggle and difficulty and challenge, and they sort of absorb all those as their beliefs and values. Yeah. So their expectation is it's going to be painful, it's going to be difficult, and their self-belief, oddly enough, is often quite low. They really don't believe that they're great learners. I'm generalising, and all generalising.
Yes, obviously.
One of the funny things is Dr. Bandler said to me, or he said to another student on one occasion, you need to go and talk to Kate. She teaches teachers because I don't want to. Of course, he has lots of teaching groups, and including me. Generally speaking, I think we have this sort of belief structure about struggle. So, one of my jobs is to get them believing in themselves and enjoying learning and having fun. So my seminars, they're like kindergartens, really.
Yeah. Wow.
We have curiosity tables and posters on the walls and sweets and stickers and all of this.
Oh, it sounds like fun!
So we're very serious about it. I mean, there are no corners to hide in. All my classrooms are round corners because there's nowhere to hide.
No,
but it's about enjoying. First off, you go first. Good principle of NLP. You go first. You start to enjoy learning, and that's a lot of the battle. The techniques, if you like, are incidental to that absolute voracious, tenacious joy for learning. And when we have that, and we can get the teachers doing that, then we're on the winner. And increasingly, I think that's where people are coming from. There's a lot of other fields which are helping us at the moment, and other people who are not necessarily in the field of NLP. So there's a lot of debate about what is education for now, and we're essentially using a 19th century system to educate young people for the 21st century. We are 2 centuries behind.
I know, it's so backwards.
It's very backwards, yeah.
That's right. And we're and there's a wonderful, I'd recommend it for everybody to, it's on RSA Animate. There's a wonderful lecture, and one of the things they talk about on the lecture is, I can't believe that. I was going to throw my phone out.
Well, this is a good pattern interrupt. Yeah, pattern interrupt.
Pattern interrupt. Just one moment. I'm just going to remove the telephone.
Yes.
Just put them under the desk. Sorry about that.
That's no worries.
The line was cutting up anyway, so it was just the perfect
moment. Yeah, sometimes it's...
Again, they're not going to go
this is the busy Kate.
This is very busy Kate. Woman. This is busy Kate in the office. There you go. Sorting out education.
I don't know how to turn it off.
Oh, well. It'll just be pleasant music then, Kate, to our ears. There you go, it's a little music.
Stop! Excuse me, man.
Just answer it a second and say you're speaking.
Got an edit on me.
There's no
edit. We never edit these.
There's no edit. There you go. There you go.
There's Kate Benson going to take the telephone
out of the room.
There she is again.
You just wanted to show off your pretty dress, didn't you?
Yes,
it was all planned, viewers.
Right, okay, I'm just going to check this one is off as well. It seems
Right, there you
back
go.
to you. Where were we? Ken Robinson. So Ken Robinson, RSA Animate. It's really worth watching.
We've seen it, haven't we? Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
But, how it was about all the little cavemen and how we evolved with the education.
Oh yes,
is it that one? No.
There's a few on there. The one that I particularly like is where he says that we're producing children by date batch.
Yeah, I think we have seen it.
And they're educated according to their date of production.
Well, it's so back. I mean, if you just take a disassociated view of the educational system, you just step out and you see what's going on in the real world, and then you look, even not just the educational, the business world is still very outdated compared to the massive leaps we've taken recently. And it does look like it looks like a Victorian system or something. It's just pathetic.
It's just not working, is it?
It's in the car, children that have to sit in classrooms for hours and hours. It's just static. It's so boring.
I was playing word association this morning with my kids in the car, and the word, I think it was book, came up, and then one of them said school, and the other one said boring. And I said, well, look, Mummy's going to talk to somebody that's going to change the way you're going to learn at schools. And they said, is it going to come to Italy? I said, I hope so, darling. You know, I hope it'll come to Italy. And they said, yeah, I'll probably come in 100 years' time. You know, they weren't very... I said, well, I hope things are changing fast. So,
yeah, and I think with the teachers it is. I mean, I think there's a lot of... Everybody's got an opinion about teachers. Everybody thinks that they could do it better than they can, you know. And I'm also not only sort of pushing them hard to change, but also a champion of what the job that teachers do. They do a very, very tough job.
Very
and
challenging,
they're constantly, you know, they are in the UK. They are the most sort of observed and audited group of people. You know, they have standards they have to achieve and achievement rates and they're constantly under pressure to get children to certain standards. This is benchmark and so, which is a good thing, but then they're not often given the freedom to find the best way to enable that child to learn. So we have this constant interference. So, for example, in the UK at the moment, the way to teach reading that's being pushed from the government level is something called synthetic phonics. Now, that's, you know, synthetic phonics works with a lot of children, and it's obviously a good system. But also, the interesting thing is, if you look at it historically and you look at the development, synthetic phonics, when it first was introduced by this group of enthusiastic teachers who really believed in it, and they were full of fun and enjoyment, and they brought that to the, you know, to the table, to the learning. So the kids learnt really well.
Yeah, of course they did.
Somebody then decides, you see, this is where NLP gets really useful. Somebody goes, oh, synthetic phonics works. No. It's like NLP doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's the practitioners who make it work.
That's
the system isn't in of itself the only variable. The other variables are the people who are doing it. And children, actually, 60% of children will learn to read with whatever system you introduce.
There you go. It's how you do it.
Yeah. It's the 40% you have to look after. Now, it's not the same 40%, because if I use synthetic phonics, this 60% will learn to read using that, and this 40% need another system. If I use look and say, then this different 60% will learn to read using that, and another different 40% will need something like synthetic phonics. So teachers who know this and know that they need a different variety of ways of accessing learning are told this is the way you have to do it. You know, and it's not just in the UK. You know, in France, every child sits down to do, you know, history, geography, maths at the same time of the week. Yeah. So, you know, if we don't, we have to find a way of supporting teachers to do the best they can, training them the best way that we can, and then actually trusting their professionalism.
That's it. It's the trust that you place. That's what I think teachers feel as if the trust has been taken away from them. Because my niece in England, her and her husband were both teachers, and they were really enthusiastic about teaching in the first 5 years, and then after that they said we can't handle this anymore. There's just too much pressure. It's just dampening our spirits. It's taken everything out. They've both changed profession, and actually my niece has actually stayed on, and she's actually homeschooling now. And she says she just can't stand it, she says it's a real shame that she just couldn't cope with it.
But there's a lot of good stuff happening. We've just had an initiative introduced in the UK, which is going to be interesting to watch. The jury's still out, really, which is the free school, introduction of free schools, where basically a group of people can set up a school, you know, within certain parameters. And the government will pay you the same amount of money that it pays a state school to that organisation to educate the children. So there's a lot of opportunities of having schools, and you know, there's a number being set up, and we'll see what happens. Of course, you know, there are all sorts of agendas about it, but you know, essentially it's an interesting development to see whether or not people are capable of actually taking a different approach.
I think they are.
And we need to get people sort of engaged on that, really.
Well, that's brilliant.
So that's all exciting.
Well, that's brilliant. I think we'll
That's
leave you on
brilliant.
that beautiful note of free schools.
There is
More Meta-NLP in education.
Yeah.
And, we hope to talk to you again sometime, and when you're doing something really, you've got a big project to launch or something.
Well, which is practically
Every
always.
day.
Yes, well, a couple of days time. No, I think there's a lot of things we could talk about, because one of the things I'd like people to be able to do is to show people, especially people who are interested in NLP, how they can work with their children and with themselves to be there.
That's one. I mean, if you just had to give them one little piece of advice now, how for a teacher, what would you say to a teacher about how she could help a child?
Well, I think there's three things that I would say is
Great.
to start your first, learn to really manage your own state.
Right.
Because that impacts on the kids. Secondly, watch your language. Use words that work.
Right.
Don't work. And thirdly, really understand learning strategies. That's about understanding how NLP strategies work and applying that to learning. Those are the three key things I would say to any teacher or any parent, actually.
Any parent, actually.
Because if you're smiling, your children will smile, won't they?
Yeah, of course they will.
Yeah,
and I hope to see some people as a result of this on the Parents' Day next week, which would be very cool.
When is that?
It's next week.
Next week, exactly when? What day is it on?
It's a week on Saturday, so is that the second or the third? I don't
We'll
remember.
put the link down afterwards at the bottom of the video.
Yeah.
It's on Saturday, I'll tell you when it is. It's the 3rd of March.
3rd of March.
In Amsterdam, and details are on the website.
Wonderful. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and lovely to meet you.
It's been lovely, yes.
It's been lovely. We feel so relieved that you're doing all this wonderful work
we
in
do.
education.
It's
lovely. Yeah, it's brilliant.
It's lovely to meet you two ladies.
Okay then.
Okay
Thank you.
then.